All right, I'm going to let you in on a really cool tip that I learned from a 1031 specialist here in Austin. It goes by the name of Carl Pickus. So obviously everybody loves your own real estate, or 1031s, is there are tax advantages to both. So if you buy a home, you live in it for 2 years, you can sell it and you can exclude a massive amount of taxes. Now, if you're single, currently that's up to 250,000. If you're married, it's up to 500,000. I'm not an accountant. Check with your accountant before you do this. But you get a massive tax exclusion on personal real estate that you've lived in, like your single family home. But once you get over that 500,000, you have to pay capital gains tax on it. Now, a 1031 is really cool because when you buy a rental property and you hold on to it and you have capital gains, you can take that and roll it over into a bigger, better property. So let's say you buy a rental home for 200,000. 10 years later, it's worth 400,000. You could take that, let's say you've got 300,000 of equity in that, you can roll that up into $1 million property. It's awesome. It's one of the ways to build wealth with real estate. Just like that homestead exclusion. Now you can actually do both, and I was not aware of this, but let's say you've lived in a property in Terrytown, one of the best neighborhoods in Austin. You've lived in a property in Terrytown for 25, 30 years. You bought it for $150,000 in the early 80s. Now it's worth $2 million. Obviously it's paid off. You've got tons of equity in it, but you can, even if you're married, you can only exclude up to $500,000. Now here's the trick that Carl told us about. Move out of that property and rent it. Rent it for a year and a half, rent it for a year, whatever you're going to do, then sell the property. Now what happens there, because you've lived in it in the last 2 of the last 5 years, you can exclude that $500,000. You can take that cash, put it in your bank account, do whatever you want with it. Then that $1.5 million, you can 1031 that into, let's say, a $5 million apartment building. Make tons of cash flow, have a huge asset, not pay any taxes. So in both ways, you pay no taxes. Super cool trick that I learned that I knew nothing about. But it's a really great way to build a ton of wealth if you're exceeding that homestead exclusion of 500,000. Reach out if you need any information about doing this in the Austin market. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel here, and reach out to me at jordan.moorhead@kw.com for any information about the Austin real estate market. I'd love to be your real estate resource here in town.